Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to Muslim Council of Hong Kong's Ramadan Reminders 2024. Today we continue to reflect upon Allah's beautiful names or attributes. I am humbled by the opportunity to share my thoughts on Al-Malik and Al-Hakam. But from the outset, I would like to state a disclaimer. I'm about to commit a fair bit of injustice myself in my quest to summarize two amazing attributes of Allah in the next 5 to 6 minutes. How is that even possible? And for that, I apologize. Okay, so let's start with Al-Malik, which literally means the king and owner of the dominion. This is no small feat. To help you visualize this, there is the earth, which we live in, and outside this earth is the universe. We now know NASA spacecraft can travel at almost 700,000 kilometers an hour. And even if it could travel for 20 to 30 years non-stop, it still can't reach from one end of space to the other. In fact, did you know after 70 years of space travel, we, mankind, have only covered 5% of outer space? I'm not making this up. Look it up yourself. So my point is, your universe is actually very, very big. It's huge. With that context done, I now point out the entire universe actually fits under the arsh of Allah, or His throne. How big could Allah possibly be if the entire universe fits under His throne? Can you imagine? So please take a moment to reflect on this. In fact, there are some people who say, visualize yourself standing in front of a tiny ant, or a ring in a vast desert, or imagine you in front of a tiny bacteria the size of a millionth of a meter. Hopefully these things will actually help you come a bit closer to understanding how very small we are. Therefore, the next time you think of Allah, Al-Malik, think of God, think of Allah, that is so big and tremendous. Me and everything I have, my wealth, my reputation, my biggest problems in life are beyond minuscule to Allah. He has absolute control over everything. In fact, think of AI only a quadrillion times more faster and pinpoint precise. That's Al-Malik, the king and owner of the dominion, the absolute power. Inna Allāh ala kulli shayin qadir. Next, we move very quickly to Al-Hakam, or the judge, the giver of justice. This is particularly timely to do this because I'm recording this today at a time when the world is in dire need for justice, especially with what's happening in, for example, Palestine. We're seeing a complete and total collapse of justice and total failure of international organizations to provide checks and balance and prevent any country from acting above the law, which is why we ought to reflect on Al-Hakam, or the judge, the giver of justice. The interesting thing is, there are some who will say, where is God? Where is justice? If there was a God, how could so much evil be possible? These are talking points we've all heard before. But my question is, what do you expect God to do? Every time a genocide happens, should God spring from His throne, put on a cape, descend to earth, and stop the crime? How about mass murder? How about theft, murder, or other crimes of passion? My question is, where do you draw the line? When does He intervene and when does He not? This is exactly why Allah sent the Quran as a guidance to mankind, to provide a framework for justice in this world. The point is, the guidance is here with us. We need to follow the rule of law and religious scripture and apply the same fair and consistent standards towards everyone. That's real justice. You see, we can't cause pollution and then question climate change. If we eat too much processed foods, there will be cancer. If there is political greed, there will be man-made disasters like what we're seeing now. But Allah, through these events, is showing us living proof of heaven and hell today. Think about it this way. If there were no jails in every country, what is the incentive of doing good and avoiding crime? If there were no jails, the entire society would descend into barbarism and madness. So jails play a critically important function in societal justice. Similarly, if there is no hell in the afterlife, why do people bother to do good in this world? Where is the incentive? The purpose of hell is to help provide a mechanism so that we do maximum good to avoid being held to account for doing bad and being sent to hell. This is Al-Hakam, ultimate justice, with Allah acting as the judge, the giver of absolute justice. Even the Quran confirms, for every good you do, the reward is good, and for every act of evil you do, you will have to pay for it. If not in this world, then obviously in the next. There is no escaping this. That's justice. Thank you for listening. I end with a humble request that you please look up the last three verses of Al-Hashr, Surah 59, verses 22 to 24. Look it up, it's amazing. I'm in awe every time I read it in my prayers or otherwise. Jazakallah khair for listening. Like, share and subscribe, and make sure you look up the last three verses of Al-Hashr. Again, Surah 59, 22 to 24. It's amazing. And watch and listen and reflect on tomorrow's episode as well. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.